Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. Really glad you're here. We got a lot of stuff to go over today, but make sure everybody can, let me turn on the chats here so you guys can chat with each other, ask questions. Okay, can you guys see the chat there? If you guys mind checking the chat, make sure that everybody's got access to that. Just say, I'm here or something like that in the chat. So I know we got some folks there. Thanks, Hannah. And then remember, you can either chat with just hosts and panelists, or you can type in chats to everyone. If you mean for everybody to see it, then type that in. Hey, Sarah, Joanne, welcome, guys. Glad you're here. I'm going to give it just a minute for other folks to join. We have a little bit of confusion about where the meeting was today. And I'm going to go share this in the Facebook group as well. We'll get that started here. Okay. Hey, Meredith. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're going to be talking today about how we use interim classes specifically to succeed over the summer months and what that means. We do really well over the summer, and June is consistently our highest grossing month for some very consistent reasons. So far at that point in the year, when most studios have the opposite result. Most of them are not doing quite that well. So make sure you have something to take notes with. We're going to be going over a bunch today, doing some advanced strategy for folks. As we're waiting for a few people to join, wanted to share a couple of things that we have on the calendar and kind of what's next and what's going on. Hey, Susan, welcome. We got a bunch of new faces here today. That's great. Glad you guys can make it. Got a bunch of stuff on the calendar. I will be at our live event in Las Vegas both this weekend and also next weekend. We have two different groups coming out to those live events. If you haven't had a chance to come attend one of those are game-changing events. Recommend that you get on one of those. We do about 3 of those a year. We do one about this time of year. We do one in the summer. We do one in the fall. We do them different places, but excited to see some of you guys in person. Love to have that. So yeah, welcome everybody. Once again, as you're hopping on the call here, find the chat. If you can, just make sure that you know how to ask questions. And you can type your questions in the chat with us there. So Vegas this weekend, Vegas next weekend, live events. We're doing some hands-on training. We keep those events fairly small because we're actually working on your stuff while we're there. It's not just where we get up and preach in front of everybody. We're actually getting work done and customizing the content to the people that are there in attendance. So pretty cool stuff. I'm excited about that. We have a new version of the Compete software coming out this week. We're going to have the first of you kind of testing that for us starting this week. And then as we get through that first round of beta test, we'll launch that to everybody else. Really cool stuff. That software, for those of you who aren't familiar, is a big piece of why I'm able to run my studios remote, why I can kind of have 3 little staff meetings a month with different members of my staff. And it takes me about 3 hours per week to manage those studios at this point. Yeah, thanks, Joan. Yeah, Joanne, sorry. Yeah, it's good stuff. We also have another software that we're launching. We'll let you guys know a little bit about coming up here as well. That one is a space sharing software. How many of you guys, those of you that are on the call already, are willing to rent your space out to folks, share your space with other businesses that would be interested in using it during the hours that you do not want to use it. So for example, if we can get fitness folks in there during the daytime, if we can get churches to come in and use it. Yeah, I'm excited to see it too. Kylie, we got it. Okay, Jennifer, once you have a space, yes. Well, that might be a key to helping you do that too. Key to actually getting that space. So that's part of it. Cool. Right on. We've got some strategies for doing this, by the way, Meredith and others, that the software will help you do, where you do not need to own the space. So if you are renting the space, if you're leasing the space, you can still get this to work. And that is pretty cool. Okay. All right. So a lot of things coming up. That's all fun stuff. And make sure that you guys are, if you're not in this was the other thing I was going to remind everybody of. Let me do this real quick. If you're not in the Studio Business Accelerator Facebook group, I think most of you are recognized from over there. Let me put the link to that in the chat here. Can you guys see that in the chat? Go join that group. If you want to catch the replay of this training, that will be over there. And we're always adding new stuff over there, a bunch of new things, a bunch of training in there. And that's a good way to stay in touch with us if you need to. Okay, a couple of housekeeping things. If you're joining us on the live, on the Facebook page, so we're broadcasting to the Facebook page, we will not be doing live Q&A over there. The Q&A is going to be on the Zoom. And so if you dig around in that Studio Business Accelerator group, you'll find the link to the Zoom. Come join us on the Zoom. And that's where we want you to be if you want to ask questions live. So make sure that you're on the Zoom meeting and not just in the Facebook group watching the live if you want to ask questions, okay? Type in real quick for me where you're joining us from. Where are you at? We got folks from all over the place. Would love to hear where you're at. If you don't mind taking a minute, once again, share that with everyone so everybody can see where you're at. I'm going to try and make this as interactive as possible. Yeah, a bunch of folks all over the place. Nashville, Florida, Colorado, Chicago, Minnesota. Yeah, Paul's in here from Chicago. Vegas, right on. I'll be in Vegas this weekend. Rochester, Milwaukee, Birmingham. Nice. Love it, guys. Thanks. People from all over the place. So welcome. Once again, remember in your chat, if you want to share with everybody, to make sure that the everyone option is listed there, so everyone can see what it is you're typing in there as we're going back and forth. I'll try to make this as interactive as possible and answer a question as we're going. All right. Now, in order for me to kind of customize this content for you guys just a little bit, a couple of things, a couple of questions that have helped me out. So find that chat again. Make sure that in the chat you're sharing with everybody as you're chatting these answers. How many of you know already, how many students could we add to your programs right now if we filled everything on the schedule? So if we filled every single class on the schedule that you have on the schedule right now, how many additional students do you have room for? Meredith, that's not enough. Meredith, once again, chatting with Susan says a lot. Okay. Another one saying only 3 to 5. Jennifer, 157. Good. That gives us plenty of flexibility to work with. Paul, maybe 120-ish. Okay. If you have less than 40 spots, there's some creativity we ought to come up with, because we at my studios, we'll be doing 90 students in 90 days at this time of year, and easily doing that. And not only easily doing 90 students in 90 days, but we'll be doing those 90 students aren't enrolling in some kind of short, like 6-week little program. These people are committing to 12 months of training, which means a huge number of them I'll be retaining through the summer, into the fall, and into the next year. So if you're under 50, then my question for you is, yeah, Sarah, I know yours, you've got room for a bunch if we can get that rocking and rolling. Good, Renee, 100 of them or so. Cool. So if we, that question, the intent of that question was, how many could we add without overburdening your classes, without decreasing the quality of what it is you're trying to provide. So the next question is then, how many students could we add if we added some classes to your schedule at this time of year? How many new students could we enroll if we added some classes to your schedule? Now that might include daytime classes. We have the daytime thing figured out. That might include these interim classes we're going to talk about today, which can happen at less convenient times of the schedule of the week, because they're temporary holding tank classes. So if we were to add a class like that, without making it too difficult for you guys, what would you say that number is? Does that number change? So Paul's got plenty of room. Good. Meredith is a little bit of room. Meredith, we might, with only about 40 spots, even if we're adding stuff. Meredith, does that include? Okay, so Meredith, you saying, help me out here. Are you saying 40 students you could add in the additional classes you added, or is that total with the current schedule and the additional classes? Okay, Brooke's saying about 90. Yeah, and I think Brooke, we've got a pretty good plan for yours to go forward and do that. Mary, about 40. All right, cool. Cool. Okay. Okay, cool. Keep those numbers coming. Okay, Susie's saying her number originally was including one already. That's great. Meredith, go ahead. You had a
Hey, I can figure out how to unmute, but you helps me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, one question is, this is my numbers don't include intermediate and advanced classes, because I don't know how to fill those at all.
Okay. Yeah, we will. Meredith, you and I are going to get together. Are you coming to Vegas?
Yes.
You're coming to Vegas, not this weekend, but next weekend, right?
Yes.
Okay, our goal at the live event is we're going to plan that out. We'll show you exactly how to do that. And it's actually related to what we're going to go over today, but it's kind of an advanced version.
Okay.
And the answer is we're going to put the upgrade system in place for your studio so that we move some of your fundamental students into those classes. We're going to convert about 80% of them in your program into those upper level classes. That opens up a boatload of space in your fundamentals program. And then we go to work this time of year and through the summer, filling that other one, that fundamentals program. Does that make sense?
It does, but I don't, so, I'm only in year 3. So when I opened the studio, I inherited about 5 intermediate to advanced dancers from other studios.
Yep.
But I don't have anyone that I can in good
Sure, they're just not good enough
doing it the right way. They're not. I don't. Yeah, I have
we totally have a strategy for that. We totally have a strategy for that, and we'll share it with you. It's probably a little beyond the scope of this training right now, but yeah, if we can free up, let's answer that question, right? Like if we can free up those spaces so we can move people into some other classes, does that allow you to put more people in your fundamentals classes? Don't worry, we'll be able to figure that out.
Yes.
We'll show you how to do that. So
okay, awesome.
We'll figure that out. But good question. Good question. Okay. All right, fantastic. Now, next question. How many of you guys on the call today already run some kind of ongoing beginning schedule through the summer? How many of you already do that? How many of you already run some kind of ongoing beginner classes throughout the summer? So you might be doing, princess day camps or something like that, those kind of things, summer camps and that kind of thing. That's totally fine if you want to do that. But how many of you are already running some kind of ongoing? Good guys. There's a bunch of folks that are already doing that. I would highly recommend that. We'll show you why in a second here. And Susan, we're going to talk about those 6-week sessions in a second here. Yeah, Paul, we need to talk about that too. The day camps it's like you're running 2 businesses, right? Like you're running this ongoing training for most of the year, and then people try and mix it up in the summer. We're going to talk about why that's so hard to do. It's not impossible, so don't get me wrong. It's not impossible to do. Okay, good. Vera Academy, good. Not yet, but want to. I would absolutely recommend that you use this call today as motivation to make that switch. And we're only going to do it if you haven't done that yet. If you haven't included some kind of ongoing, I can sign up for just a regular ongoing dance class during the summertime. Man, there are some trends that your competitors don't understand. And if you will put that on the calendar, we will kill it with that. Okay. If you're looking into summer camps, Teresa, that's totally fine if you want to do that, but you are running two different businesses. You're running the summer camp business and you're running a dance studio. And I know that most studios are doing it that way. And most studios, before they make this conversion that we're talking about today, are losing 80% of the students that they had enrolled over the summer every single year. So that's a dangerous way to do it. It's not impossible. It's just harder. Okay. It's just harder to do. Okay. Just say, we just launched ongoing classes during the summer. Yeah, that's absolutely the way to do it. And we'll show you guys how to get that rocking and rolling. It's totally easy to do. Totally easy to do. And you don't need to do it for all your classes. We just need some classes for beginners. Okay. That's the strategy. All right. Those of you that have not yet, oh, good. Run a full curriculum year. Awesome. That's great. That's going to be easier for us to implement a bunch of this stuff if you've already done it. Okay. Susie, cool. So you got a little combination of stuff going on. That's great. Good. All right. So next question is, before those of you that are not running year-round classes, or maybe those that are, what percentage of your beginner students, guesstimate, you might not know this exactly, what percentage of your beginner students are quitting over the summer? So the recital rolls around and then they stop coming. What percentage in general are you losing over the summer? Who knows that number? Do you guys know that? You might not know. Okay, about 20% of beginners are quitting. Okay. Kylie's doing some good stuff. Kylie, you guys already have, yeah. Some of you, those of you that are saying 10%, a lot of you guys already have this stuff already figured out. Yeah, if it's more than 15%, we're doing something wrong. Okay. If it's more than 15%, Paul, awesome, good. Yeah, if it's more than 15%, we're doing something wrong. All right, good. Thank you, guys. That's helpful. All right, we're going to jump in real quick to story time. Oh, hang on, Paul, are you saying of your advanced students, 90% of them are quitting over the summertime? Is that what you're saying? Oh, man, we can fix that. We'll help you do that. Jennifer, that's the result you're getting. We're flapping our lips the wrong way. If it's more than 15%, let's answer that question then. Of your advanced students, what percentage are quitting over the summer? Anybody mind sharing that number? Where are you guys at? Should be the same. If it's more than about 15%, Meredith's retaining most of them. Good. Yeah, your competitors are not doing this if they haven't implemented this kind of stuff. Okay, Jennifer, if you're losing 80 to 90% of those guys, we'll show you why that's happening in a second. Yep. If you're losing them going to college, you've got people aging out of your program. It's pretty hard to beat that one. Yeah, good, Jenkins. That's exactly the right thing, man. Good job, Jenkins. Way to go, man. Okay. Yep. Yeah, we should talk about that, Hannah. That's a good point with you guys and having that nonprofit that you share space with. There's going to be a way to do that. Good, cool. Okay. All right. Tell you a little bit about how we figured some of this stuff out. Okay. And I wanted to share a little bit of my history. Some of you already know this. I'm not really a dancer. That's really not my thing. Now, I've taken classes and I know a couple of things now, right? I've been involved in this industry for a very long time. But I started out as a martial artist. Not only that, but I started out as a weird martial artist. Okay? I started out teaching a martial art called capoeira. And the first studio that I ever opened was dedicated mostly to that. This crazy Brazilian martial art that's got acrobatics and music and kind of dance all mixed into one sort of art form. How many of you guys, by the way, know what capoeira is? Anybody ever seen that before? Most of you, some of you, maybe not. Back when I opened my first capoeira studio, nobody had any idea what it was. And it was really hard. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, really hard to sell something. You know, it's one thing when you say, hey, would you like to, you go up to somebody and say, would you like to come take a ballet class? They can say yes or they can say no because it sort of resonates with them. And they, of course, don't really know everything that they're getting themselves into, but they understand what it is. But we were teaching this weird capoeira stuff. And what we realized was that in order to sell it to people, we had to educate them on what it was first. And then we could make an offer to have them come in and do it. And that was a very kind of expensive thing to do. Well, I moved to Colorado in the early 2000s, in 2004, with the intent to open these capoeira studios in town. And I was subleasing from dance studios during the hours that they had space available for us to come in and teach. And we did really well. We were good at marketing. We'd figured some things out by that point. And it only took us about 6 months to get to the point where we could go out and we could get our own space. And we had our own space dedicated to ourselves. And when we did that, One of the dance studios that we were subleasing from couldn't afford their space anymore. So they actually came and sublet from us and used our space and shared our space with us. And then we kind of helped them with their marketing. And I realized a couple of things as that happened. One is that marketing for stuff that people kind of already know what it is was way easier than marketing stuff that people had no idea what it was. Okay. The other thing was that we retained our students over the summer way better than the dance studios did. So we'd watch these dance studio programs that would come in and use our space, and their enrollment would absolutely tank over the summer. And the capoeira programs, maybe we'd take a little hit here and there. Of course, there's some transition. It was a little transient time of year in the summertime. We lost nowhere near as many students. And I sat back and I thought, why is this? What's going on here? And as I kind of started helping the dance studios that we were working with, one of them, I sort of has morphed into all of these things that I own today. We figured some stuff out. What did we figure out? Why were we retaining students better in the capoeira program through the summer than we were in the dance program? Anybody know? What's your guess? Type that in the chat. What's your guess as to why the capoeira programs were retaining 85% of all the students over the summertime, and the dance studios were like losing 70 to 80% of their total enrollment? Oh, Hannah, I love how you just said that. Yeah. Okay, here's a question that I ask a lot. Some of you are already going to know the answer to this question. What is the best predictor of human behavior, future human behavior? What is the best predictor of future human behavior? I'll give you a hint. It's not whether or not people believe they should behave a certain way. A lot of us believe we should eat more vegetables. A lot of us believe we should vote. And a lot of people who believe that don't actually do that. A lot of people sometimes think, oh, it's a past behavior. How did they behave in the past? Well, kind of. That's a pretty good indicator. Past behavior does give us some insight into how people might behave in the future. But the best indicator of future behavior is actually intent, what people intend to do. And it's very measurable. We know that people are more likely to get married someday if, when they're single, they intend to get married someday. We know that if we went through and we asked everybody on the call today whether or not they intended to go grocery shopping this afternoon, we could bet that if those people intended to go grocery shopping this afternoon, they are more likely to go grocery shopping than those that don't intend to go grocery shopping. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the cool thing about intent is that we have influence over the intent of other people. And that's why I like so much what Hannah said a second ago here. Or Mary's also got it, because dance studios follow a school schedule. That's part of it. They understand the importance. Yeah, that's also true. But Hannah says you weren't teaching them to drop. That's exactly right. In the capoeira program, I wasn't saying to people, okay, we're going to do a recital and a show in May or June, and then we do something else, right? And unintentionally, what we're doing when we say that to people is we're influencing their intent. These people don't intend to train over the summer because they never get out of that mindset where they're kind of like, hey, we'll try this for a while and then we'll do it between soccer and maybe lacrosse season, and we'll see how this goes, right? We never get out of that. Now, if a student intends to come in and just train for an entire 12-month curriculum or something, are we going to retain 100% of those students? No, I don't retain 100% of my students, but I retain a huge percentage of them because their intent is to train throughout the entire year when I get them enrolled. And that doesn't change at this time of year. As a matter of fact, at this time of year, that's even more important that we make sure that we're enrolling people into something that they intend to do. Okay. Now, some of this might sound a little bit unbelievable. So I'm going to ask you guys to kind of suspend a little bit of disbelief here. Those of you who don't have this implemented yet. But most studios are telling their students unintentionally when to quit, right? Martial arts studios don't do something different in the summertime. They don't have a big event that kind of ends the season and then do something different. Yoga studios don't do that. As we look at the numbers for adult fitness classes, for martial arts classes, while there is some attrition over the summertime, it's nowhere near as high as it is in the dance studio world. And that's part of why, okay? We have influence over our prospective students' intent. If you're taking notes, I want you to write that down. That's maybe one of the most important things that we can say. Most of your competitors are telling themselves the story. Well, most of the people in my city, what they want is, rather than saying, the best way I can serve these people is to help them to intend this, and then they'll get the best result, right? You understand the difference between the two? This might be the most important thing that we talk about today. So we have influence over our prospective students' intent. Now, your average student value, this is part number 2. If you're taking notes, number 1, intent. Number 2, your average student value is more important than your active student count as you grow. And the reason for that is because the style of business that we run, the business model that we have, whether you teach dance or martial arts or music or whatever you teach, it costs money to grow. So I have to bring on additional instructors, I have to bring on additional admin staff, and I need additional real estate, right? I need those 3 things. Those are very expensive things as I'm growing. And I talk to studios all of the time that haven't outrun this problem. We call it the money problem. The money problem is they grow their business, but they haven't grown it to the point where they've added students, but they aren't profitable enough to take the next step without putting their business at risk. Does that make sense? Whereas if we have a high average student value for a new student coming in the door, if that student is committing to 12 months, if that student is taking multiple classes per week, whatever those things are, making large down payments on the program, if we have a high average student value, we are simply more competitive. It is very difficult for the studio that's the closest to me to compete with me because our average student value in the first year of enrollment is literally 4 times what theirs is. It's almost unfair for them to be able to compete with me, okay? In the chat for a second, if you guys don't mind, calculate in your brain right now, what is the average student value of a new student that's coming in the door, okay? Calculate in your brain. I want you to be aware of that. You think about it this way. If you had one student that paid you $20,000 a month to be enrolled at your studio, that's a heck of a lot easier to run that model than having to have 400 students paying you $50 or something like that, right? So what I'm looking at here is what's the average student value? Yes, Paul, the average student value for your fundamentals program, your beginner program. What is that? Okay. Figure that out. And we're looking at in the first year of enrollment, the first 12 months. Now, they might not come in and stay for 12 months. They might stay for 10. They might stay for 9. Now, you'll notice, I want to point something out here. The folks that are really quick on the draw on this number, how many of you guys have been through our training already? These guys have already been through. They know what that number is. Man, it's an important number, okay? Now, we have some programs we can show you. We'll make this offer to you in a little bit here, where we can get that number to $2,500 very, very quickly, okay? We get that very, very quickly to that. And the higher your average student value is, that is more important than your active student count. Now, once we get that average student value in place, then we can grow, then we can get more students in. But if we don't do that, you end up having to have a part-time job in a full studio with no place to put additional students, and nobody's making any profit yet. And that's one of the biggest mistakes we can make, okay? Now, next little piece here to understand, here. It's important to ask people to make commitments. Why is it important for us to be willing to ask people to make commitments? Why is it important for us to be willing to ask people to make large commitments? Why? I'm going to argue that it is. Why? In an industry where what most people are doing is trying to drive traffic to an online enrollment widget that's really hard to navigate, and I have to go create an account in another software, and I have to tell it what my child is allergic to and what classes I'm looking at before I even know anything. Then I can sign up for one little class a week for a 6-week program or something like that. In an industry where that's the norm, why is that important for us to ask people to make large commitments? Hannah, I think that's exactly right. What is best for these people? Here's the point that I'm trying to make here with large commitments. That we need to be capable as leaders in this industry of asking people to make large commitments. You don't sell dance. You don't sell music lessons. You don't sell martial arts or self-defense or whatever it is you do. What you sell is some kind of transformation that these people are buying into. There is something, obviously they come in and they take classes from you and they learn some things, but there is a transformative effect that happens on these people that is significantly more than just learning some dance moves. There's value in just learning some dance moves, but there's significantly higher value in that other transformative piece, whatever that is for you guys. That's what you actually sell. And in order to get a big transformation, here's the notes piece. You want to write this down if you're taking notes. In order to get a large transformation, we need to ask for a large commitment. If I want to have a big impact on people, think about it this way. The students who come in and train at your studio, if they come in and they take one class a week, are they going to be as transformed as people who come in and take 2 classes a week? If somebody comes in and does a 6-week session and then quits when the summer starts and the recital's over, versus somebody who comes in and is committing to 12 months of training, who's going to get the bigger transformation? What kind of student do you want to work with? I know the kind of student that I want to work with. I have influence over their intent. So I know that if I ask them to make a large commitment, I'm going to get a larger transformation out of them. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand where I'm going with that? But in this industry, for some reason, we've pulled away from that. We've said, how can I make this as easy for these people as possible so they don't have to commit? And then we sit back and if you go on the little forums on Facebook, we see people complaining about, oh, why aren't parents more committed? Well, what if we take just a little bit of responsibility for that and we ask people to make a large commitment? The cool thing is that way we don't have to work with as many students to hit the same things, right? My closest competitor for one of my studios, it's only 3 blocks from my studio, right? My average student value in the first year of enrollment is 4 times what theirs is. For every 1 student I enroll, they have to enroll 4 students. Okay, so large commitments is a piece of the secret here. All right, next piece. Number 1, intent is the best predictor of future behavior. How can we influence their intent to train a longer time? Average student value, asking people to make large commitments. Number 4, don't take advice from people who are doing the mediocre. And the mediocre is defined by what everybody else is doing. So you see a lot of people out there online, maybe you don't see this, I see this, asking for advice, saying, what are most people doing for, and then asking some kind of a question. That's a dangerous place to take advice. How about this instead? People who are actually accomplishing what I'm trying to accomplish, but my goal is, what are you doing? Let's go ask those folks what they're doing, and let's pay attention to what they're doing, as opposed to paying attention to the mediocre, right? What consistently everybody else is doing. Copy the strategies from people that are actually accomplishing what it is that you want to do, okay? All right. Now, let's go over real quick some mistakes that we see at this time of year. I'm going to go over this really, really quickly, and then we're going to jump right into what the strategy is that we use, the very specific strategy is that we use. Mistakes that you're going to see this time of year. I've already seen this. People out there teaching that you should run little short 6-week sessions right now, or as you get closer to your recital, so that you can get people in the door and get them in for 6 weeks. What is their intent if they enroll in a 6-week session? What is their intent if they enroll in a 6-week session? Somebody type that answer in the chat. Yeah, you guys got it. You have it exactly right. If they intend to come in on a short thing, you are educating them to not be committed, right? That's what you're telling them. And so can you do that? Can you get students in? Yes. Are you going to retain some of those students over the summer? Absolutely, you're going to retain some of those students over the summer. If you have students that intend to come in and enroll right now and train right through the summer and train right into the new season in the fall, are you likely to retain more of those? We have influence over their intent. So if you see some folks out there giving that advice to, oh, just open little mini sessions right now, let's close your classes for recital and open these other mini sessions, you can probably discount a lot of the other things that they're saying, because there's a really good chance they're not retaining well over the summertime, and probably don't really know what they're talking about. They've got an idea, and that's as far as they got, okay? Another mistake that we're seeing your competitors probably are doing this time of year is just simply closing enrollment. Now, this is actually a good thing. Why is it a good thing that so many studios, especially if you're in a competitive area, where there's lots of, by the way, how many of you are in a competitive area? Share with us in the chat. How many of you are in a competitive area? If you're in a competitive area with lots of other studios, this actually works in your favor, Many studios are pulling back on enrollment and marketing completely at this time of year. They're pulling back on enrollment and marketing completely at this time of year. Why is that a good thing for you? Yeah, yeah, Amanda, that's awesome. Exactly, because we can pick up the kids that don't have anywhere to go. And it drops the cost of getting those new people because if we're running social media ads or something to get those folks in, we know how to do that at this time of year. We've got that figured out, and we can get those people in for less, for half of what it was costing us over the last couple months. You'll see that cost to acquire a new student literally drop in half this time of year. So those of you that are in a competitive area, what we're going over right now is really, really important. Do not pull back on your marketing. Do not pull back on your enrollments or your commitments that you're asking people to make at this time of year. And I guarantee you, man, we're going to see some massive results, but your competitors don't understand that. Okay. They don't have that piece figured out yet. The other mistake we see that this time of year is finding other ways to tell people when they should quit. And a lot of times, look, I totally get it. How many of you guys have a recital like in May or June, and you're really hyper focused and you're really busy at this time of year, and you've got a whole heck of a lot of stuff going on? How many of you have that? How many of you feel that way? It becomes really difficult to sort of like feel like you should be talking about what's next all the time, but you should be talking about what's next all the time. And so if we're asking people, we're having people come in and we're having people not commit at this time of year, and we're telling people basically when to quit, guess what's going to happen? We have influence over their intent, and they will do what they intend to do. Most of them, 100% no, but most of them will. Okay. Now, one last mistake that I've seen some folks make is they're rolling this out. Like I said, we'll show you the actual specific strategy right now. But one other mistake is trying to roll this out to your advanced students before you roll it out at the beginner sort of fundamentals front end level. Now, we have ways of doing it both, but already Meredith and Paul and a couple of the others of you have said, look, we're not retaining a bunch of our advanced students over the summertime for one reason or another. I want you guys to not worry about that yet. We're going to get the new students enrolled. We're going to get them making large down payments. We're going to get them making long-term commitments. We're going to get them in at this time of year. We're going to retain them over the summer, and we're going to create that culture. Once you prove that you can do that, it is almost trivial to roll that up to your higher level students, and we'll show you how to do that down the road. Okay, but this is the first step. So the next mistake that too many people make is rolling this out for advanced students first. We want you to roll it out for the beginners. Some of you that have been in business for a long time, and you've been telling people for 14 years how the schedule works, right? Oh, good. Meredith's retaining advanced students. Fantastic. That's good to see. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, kind of like a trickle up, right? So I'll show you in a second how this works. But like if we have this massive number of students coming in at this time of year, and we can prove that and we show that and it's actually happening, it creates a culture. And those students that are kind of advanced students now all of a sudden like, hey man, these guys are coming in, they're taking multiple classes per week. They're training over the summer. I'm taking it kind of easy. You know, there's like some pressure, some social pressure, a little bit of peer pressure, right? Even on that group of folks, so that we have this base in place first. The other issue here too is that we want to be able to dial in what your pricing should be in your area, depending on your program and the area you're in. I can't say to you, everybody should charge exactly what I charge, right? Can't say that, but we dial in that pricing so we know how to price those upper level guys. Because how many of you guys set your pricing in your studio by you first opened your program, you just looked around at what everybody else was doing and assumed they knew what they were talking about and priced yourself kind of where they were at? Is that how you did it? Right? That's a huge mistake, right? Rolex doesn't walk into Walmart to check what price they charge for their wristwatches. They don't do that. They know that they are worth more. And so they do that. And don't worry about it. We'll help you fix it. But that's the other reason. Krithika, is that how you say your name? I think. I hope I didn't slaughter that. I have kind of an odd name myself. Mago, very special folks. So yeah, Krithika, good. But that's the reason that we want to do it. Those are the reasons we want to do it on our beginners first, because we'll dial in that pricing. And then what we do is we go to the advanced folks and we don't charge them quite as much as these guys, but we grandfather them in for being loyal, and it becomes a very, very easy conversion rate. We'll show you that. Okay. All right. Good enough. Without further ado, what are we doing? Here's the plan. We are enrolling people at this time of year, not into some kind of short-term thing. We are enrolling them into what we call our fundamentals program. So step number one, if you don't have a fundamentals program and you don't know what that means, go make one. Create a program, and it's a long-term commitment program that we can point a finger to and say, hey, this is where you fit. This is what you should do, and enroll people into that thing at this time of year. So that's number one, okay? If you don't have some kind of program like that, I want you to invent that, okay? Now, if you don't already have those classes just continuing through the summer, I want you to put that in place. And this is just for the beginners. Now, I get some pushback on this one sometimes because people are like, oh, my teachers don't want to teach during the summer. Well, that's because you told them they shouldn't, right? When you originally hired them. But can we find some instructors, even just temporary ones, that can come in and teach those beginner classes? Those are the easiest ones to find, right? The folks that are capable of teaching beginner classes. Can we just get that in place? Okay, so we want to make sure that we've got something to offer these people that reaches through the summer and into the fall. Now, if you need to close your classes at this time of year to work on recital choreography and that kind of stuff, we will be doing that in the middle of March at my studio. We run our recital a little bit later in the year than many people do. We close enrollment to the regular classes in the middle of March. At exactly the same time, we're opening up our interim classes. Interim classes are temporary holding tanks, okay? Write that down. These are not permanent additions to the schedule. Usually, they're just temporary holding tanks. So we can do Friday afternoon, 2 classes back to back, Saturday morning, maybe there's a Monday, Wednesday time that's not quite as desirable or something like that, where you can stick an extra class. And these classes only go from that time of year that your enrollment is closed as you're getting ready for your recital. And then as soon as the recital is over, we open up regular enrollment into the regular classes, and everybody from the interim classes moves into the regular schedule. That puts a massive amount of pressure on the regular schedule. Because imagine if we can go do 90 students in 90 days into these different interim classes and fundamentals classes and things. And then all of a sudden, the advanced students have a little bit of pressure to stick around because they may end up losing their stuff. No, okay, Hannah, this is a good question. The temporary classes have a performance to look forward to? Yes, but not right now. It's down the road, right? It's not, hey, we're just going to perform right away. And we're very, very clear and upfront with people. And we say, hey, listen, on March 15th, all of the regular enrollment in the regular classes, it closes for recital preparation or whatever's happening at your studio. And we open up these interim classes. Now, the interim class is, fundamentals technique class. That's where you'll be the best fit. And we'll get you in there. We're working on technique and whatever it is that you decide you're doing in those classes. And then we open that back up as soon as the recital's over, then we open up the regular schedule and you guys get first crack at the schedule. Kritika, yeah, my interim classes do not perform in this year's recital. They're frankly not going to be good enough, right? Like I'm going to enroll people up they go into interim classes literally up until like a week or 2 before the recital. I'm still putting more students into those little technique classes, and then they move on to the regular schedule as soon as the recital's over. Okay. Yes, absolutely, Mary. Mary's asking, is there a way that I can take my 6-week classes and transform the interim classes in June? If I were you, I would literally just change the name of them and say, hey, this 6 weeks, we're actually doing this as an interim class. If this works for you, Mary, this 6-week class is transforming into an interim class. You guys will be enrolling into this other thing at this time, and you just tell them what they should be doing. I mean, don't lie to anybody, but you're the authority here. I want you to walk in with prescriptive authority, and you say, this is what you should do to get the best result out of this, okay? So if you've already pulled the trigger on some of these 6-week things, you're not going to retain as many, but literally just go help them to see what's best for them. Let them know that they get first crack at the schedule, okay? Debbie's saying, what ages are these interim classes? So that's a fantastic question too. The other thing you can do with these interim classes is you can get away with a little bit of a broader age range, okay? So because you're upfront with everybody and let them know that it's a temporary thing, you can put students of a little bit broader age range into the same class. Not extreme. You don't want 3-year-olds in there with 14-year-olds, obviously, but we can broaden the age range just a little bit in those classes. But I use interim classes for everything, okay? Let me answer one other question here too. Now, this is not advice. I don't know some of you, so I need to know more about your programs before I can give this piece of advice to you. But at my studio, we're killing it with adult programs. Just at one of my locations, I think we have 280 something adults at this point enrolled in ongoing 12-month commitments, 2 times a week classes, $299 down payments, $199 a month, 12-month commitments, okay? And I don't live in a magic city. But the first year adults do not perform in the recital for us. And so what we can focus on at this time of year as well, and this is potentially an option for you guys, once again, not advice yet, I need to know more about your program, is opening up some adult sections and putting students in those, because my adults don't perform their first year in the recital anyway. Most of them don't want to. And then the second year, that gives them something to look forward to once they kind of have their sea legs under them, so to speak. Okay, so there's a couple of other ideas, but yeah, Meredith. Meredith's saying, can you give the verbiage again for how you explain to people that what these interim classes? Yeah, 100%. What we say is we just say, hey, listen, our classes close for regular enrollment on March 15th because we're preparing for the recital. But we open up some temporary interim classes between that date in March and June, and you can come in and we'll work on the technique. And then after the recital, you guys get first crack and we'll move you back onto the regular schedule. Okay. No, totally fine. No problem if you have 2 shows a year. How many of you guys on this that have already implemented this stuff do 2 shows a year? Totally not a problem. You can do interim classes, double dip interim classes, no question. Yep. We just got to time them right. Yeah, see, you're fine. Totally cool. Totally works. Okay. Totally works. Absolutely fine. I think some of you guys just like to work harder than me. That's all. But no, it'll totally work. Okay. Now, it might be possible that we don't need to schedule interim classes. Like if you have a way, like I do, of putting adults into an adult program, Brooke, I think with your studio, that's part of what we're focusing on this time of year. Like we can double down on the marketing for those guys and get them into long-term commitments, right? And that's great. Yeah, Brooke. Yeah, awesome, Brooke. Have 14 come to try. Yeah, new adult interim classes tonight. Yeah, Brooke does not live in a magic city, right? She does not live in a magic city. So she's got a bunch of this implemented and figured out. Good job, Brooke. And the goal, I think, is 90 students for her too on this. Okay. All right. Okay. Other piece. How are we marketing these classes? I recommend that you don't market them as interim classes. I recommend that you run your paid evergreen intro at this time of year. So I know that a lot of studios are out there doing, and we can get this to work. Don't get me wrong, but we can get this to work. But if we're running free, come try a free class at this time of year, or if we're saying specifically interim classes, part of what we're doing is making that influence on their intent to make short-term commitments. Okay. And so my intro offer, for example, that we're running at this time of year is a $49 come try 2 weeks of classes thing. Okay. A paid intro works like gangbusters at this time of year. Now, this is where we talk about the seasonality throughout the year and what we figured out. Most dance studios are running this like 9-month, 10-month thing. They're pulling back on their marketing and enrollments at this time of year. They're working on their recitals. Everybody quits over the summertime, and then they try and ingest a bunch of hopium that everybody will come back in the fall. That's what most of your competitors are doing, right? What we're doing at the beginning of the year is open houses, right? About this time of year right now, open houses become just a little bit less effective because of the seasonality of that marketing. Now, I know Jenna just did one last week. She lives in a very, I don't know if Jenna's on the call today, but she's in a very rural area and enrolled 100% of the people who showed up to her open house into ongoing 12-month agreements, 2 times a week classes, large down payments. 100% of them. If Jenna can do it, where there's only 17 people in her village, you guys can do this as well. Okay. Now, open houses, and then we do mass intros, and then we move from math intros back to the evergreen offer at this time of year. So what is the evergreen offer? That's the come in and try out 2 weeks of class. There's no specific date you have to do it, nothing like that. We're running ads on social media for that to a specific landing page that describes what it is. And we're not asking for credit cards. We're not asking for purchases or commitments. All we need is their contact info so that we can get them scheduled to come in and explain how the interim program works. Does that make sense? That's it. That's literally it. And we're killing it. Now we know what the stats should be. We know what the stats should be. Off of your social media ads, if you're running paid social media, we know what the click-through rate should be. If people are hitting that landing page, we know what the conversion rate. You should be getting a minimum of 10% conversions off of that landing page. We should be getting 80% at this time of year of people who fill out that form to come in and actually try out the classes. We should be getting 70 to 80% of those people enrolled once they come in. Okay. Meredith, I love that goal. Meredith just says she's doing 90 students in 90 days. That's fantastic. Okay. Do you guys understand the strategy of the seasonality of the marketing? Does it make sense? why we're doing what we're doing. At this time of year, I'd recommend that you don't do free classes. We do paid trials. And that on that form that they're landing on, we're just grabbing contact information and then following up and getting them scheduled. And that intro program is a small commitment. There's a little barrier of entry there. They're paying a little bit to come in and try it out. They're, that's it. Yeah, paid intro. Yeah, skin in the game. They got some skin in the game. Yeah. Kristika, how do you get a commitment for 12 months without having them cancel under the, well, sometimes I don't. I'm not a gym or a cell phone contract where like I'm going to continue charging you if you move out of my area or hold you into some kind of a commitment. I don't want people to train with me if they don't like my face. I want people that have the intent to come in and accomplish a certain thing. Now, there's kind of a short answer and a longer answer to your question. How do we get a commitment? The real secret is what we call the new student pipeline, which is beyond kind of the scope of this training, but it's part of what we teach in our kind of our base camp program. During the first 3 months of a student's enrollment, we have the most influence over their long-term intent. Write that down. Maybe even get that tattooed on you somewhere where you can see it every day. During the first 3 months of a student's enrollment, we have the most influence over their long-term intent. And what we're trying to do during those first 3 months is to switch in their brain a little switch. And that switch is, who knows what that switch is? What are we trying to switch during those first 3 months? I want them to switch from yes, that they self-identify as dancers. Good job, Jennifer. I want them to move from the mode of I'm taking a dance class to I am a dancer. And we found if people can self-identify as that thing because of how we treat them in their first 3 months of enrollment, we're going to retain them for a really, really long time. We don't lose them to soccer and gymnastics and all of the other things in summer, right? We don't, because we've had an influence on that intent and on that little psychological switch, okay? Katie, Katie's asking, what do you do to someone who wants to come in and watch before they sign up for a trial? I don't. I know this probably makes me sound like a jerk, but that's not what I sell. Like, if that's what you need, just come try it out, man. And if you don't want to come try it out, then that's okay. You can go to this place down the street. It's a lower commitment anyway, if that's the kind of individual. This is a filter. Keep in mind, I only have to enroll 4 times fewer students than my closest competitor, right? And this is where I take my stand, and this is where my value is, and this is the type of person I want to work with. And it's okay. I'm not for everybody. I'm not the Walmart of dance studios. I'm not, okay? Yep. No, this is Mary. We absolutely, with the interim classes, we do the paid intro. So they come in and they pay for that intro, and then when they come in for their first class in that intro, we actually make them an offer to enroll into the fundamentals program. That's how we're doing it. Did that answer your question, Mary? Yeah, I love this. Mindy, thank you for sharing. Yeah, she says, I just got an inquiry right now from a parent that said they were going somewhere else and their group class ended. So they're looking to continue with us because we offer an ongoing program. Exactly. That's where the competitive edge is. Exactly. That's where the power in this is. Okay. Enrollments understand the 12-month fundamentals program. If you're taking notes, write that down. People who are signing up for interim classes are in that temporary holding tank. Oh, Mindy, so it's 2 students. Awesome. They're in that temporary holding tank, right? They know that, but they know that the commitment is to the 12-month fundamentals program or whatever your fundamentals program is that you're signing them into. So they understand that, and that helps to influence that intent, okay? When regular classes open back up after the recital, there are a bunch of new folks chomping at the bits for spots on the regular calendar. Look, if you do this the right way, even if you're not running ongoing classes over the summer, this is very, very simple changes. Okay, this is not difficult to do at this time of year. Yes, Hannah, that's exactly right. And so Hannah's asking, do they anticipate the class time switch after the recital? We are very upfront with them. They understand that we are like doing them a favor by letting them come in and do these technique classes. And the idea is, you're going to be far ahead of all of the beginners. Look, during the summertime, a lot of new students come in and enroll. You guys are going to have the advantage over a bunch of those students because you've got these technique classes already under your belt. And we're going to be able to get you moved up into level 2 or whatever sooner than many of the other people that do because you're coming in and doing this intro class. But they understand that this may be slightly inconvenient time that these classes are scheduled at. because you might be closed, are going to have a time switch associated with it. This is another reason I push adult programs, man. We can make adult programs work, and we can get a bunch of adults in, and we don't need to put them in the recital. Fewer of them are been out of shape about that at all. So now we're very upfront with everybody on what's going to happen. And that's why their intent is that the schedule is going to change. They know what it's going to be. They have their eyes on the classes that they want to be moving into. We're telling them what it should be. And so their intent is to move into those classes in June. And guess what? They do, right? It's so simple. It's so simple. And sometimes it seems like cheating. Questions about that? Yeah, Hannah. So I don't change my my fundamentals schedule. She's asking, do you announce the new schedule before recital? Yeah, dude, I'm talking about consistently. I mean, let me ask this question. What's the best way to influence people's intent? To wait till the last minute to announce that, or to give them all kinds of heads up on it, right? Now, just to be frank, at my studio, we don't change the fundamentals schedule very much at all. Like, we follow what we call the X pattern schedule. There's a Monday, Wednesday section, a Tuesday, Thursday section. One's earlier, one's later. So we're casting this nice wide net for the beginners. You know, your advanced folks that have been training with you for 14 years, shoot, man, you could have classes at 3 a.m. on Thursdays and those guys would show up. You know, like they love you and they'll do whatever they need to be there. They're more dedicated. But we do not shift the fundamentals classes around a ton. The interim classes we add, and then they move into whatever the fundamentals classes are from one year to the next. They hold very consistent. They hold very consistent for us. Okay. What other questions do you guys have about that? Anything else? It's super easy. This is not difficult to do if you do it the right way. There's some little details there. Go ahead, Meredith, we got you. What's your question there?
Hello again. Okay, so I have a mass intro this afternoon.
Cool.
And it's for 3 and 4-year-olds, although they will go into, you know, a class for only 3-year-olds and then a separate class for the 4-year-olds. Okay. But I only have a few spots left to fill the regular classes.
Yeah, my biggest criticism of the answer you had earlier is we just don't have enough spots, man. We're going to fill these spots.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, well, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, because my plan is for the ones that get enrolled today into the regular classes, we'll still get to perform as long as we are able to get costumes. But if I stick we'll have a lot of people that are coming that won't get into that regular class. And I don't know, like, whether, you know, obviously we have another room available. So technically it could be an interim class for those left over. But then there's like some that would be getting into the regular class and being able to perform, and then the leftovers basically wouldn't. So should I not make the extra class I'm creating be an interim class? Well, should I go ahead?
When are you closing for your recital?
Well, I need to ASAP, because getting costumes is...
These are the last folks that you're going to put on the regular schedule. And then it goes into interim. Now, if you're worried about not being able to get recital costumes for it, let's just put them into an interim class if we need to. That's totally fine. But I think you probably can make this work, man. I know you can hustle, and let's figure this out. Let's get this is the last group. And I would use it as a scarcity play as you're doing their enrollment conference. So I would be saying to them, look, this class actually closes after this week. We do have some interim classes available. They're at a little bit weirder times. But I'd absolutely get enrolled right away in this class, because we're shutting enrollment for the regular classes after this intro today. Like, it's a scarcity play that they need. So there's a little bit of fear of missing out if they don't. By the way, what's the your fundamentals? What's the down payment?
Is $199.
Okay, and what's the monthly?
$159.
Okay, all right. We need to have a serious discussion about that in Vegas. I'm going to pick on you a little bit, which I think you're used to, because the problem now is that you have legitimate scarcity in your classes, and like just basic economics, man. There's a good chance we need to tweak your pricing up a little bit.
Okay.
There's a good chance.
Thank you.
Yeah, good problem to have.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Kritika, in your fundamentals section, can the advanced answers also go to fundamentals as a practical? I guess that gets, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. You can put more people in there, but if you will aggressively run, I mean, we do the math here. Like if you'll aggressively, you think about my program, okay? People are paying $49 to come in and do an intro. If I spend $49 on social media ads, I just know how to do that well enough that we're going to get 4 people enrolled. It's going to cost me $10 a piece to get people to come in. I'm going to make $200 just off the intro. I take that money and throw it back at Mark Zuckerberg. I'm going to fill those classes, man. I just am. And as long as you can get a new student enrolled, listen to this. This another one everybody should take notes on. As long as you can get a new student enrolled into your interim classes for less than the cost of your intro, we have like a massively scalable thing. We can just continue to throw money at this because I know that if somebody pays $49 for an intro, just going to put that back into the ads in 30 days, I'm going to get 4 more people paying that. And it's just going to snowball like that. So if you do this right, you won't have room is what I'm saying. And that's Meredith's problem now. Meredith's problem and a couple of other people on the call. That's why I was asking those questions at the beginning, because some folks here already have this implemented. Your problem is we need to raise your tuition at this point. We need to have larger down payments. We need to do some of those other things because this is just working for you already, right? Sarah's asking how long are interim classes. We only need interim classes during the time that it's disruptive to put students in the other classes. So whatever that is for you doesn't matter, right? It's just whatever it is for you. And if that's March through June, that's what mine are, but that doesn't mean it's the same for when you, I mean, I know some people that just like continue sticking kids in the classes, even though they're getting ready for recital, if those kids don't just perform. I think that's kind of a bummer. I don't like that so much, but I mean, it works. So yeah, fantastic. Oh yeah, Kritika, if you want to come to one of these live events, you totally should come. Yeah, we can get you. If you just find me on Facebook and send me stuff, I'll keep you in the loop. Go join that Facebook group. We'll let everybody know about those. We've got some fun ones, and these programs, like we'll add 100 grand to your program in one of those events in 3 days, just with stuff like this. I mean, this is what we're doing this month, right? We have something like this for every single month. So yeah, we'll add. We do the math, right? How many people? Okay, Meredith's average student value. Let's use Meredith as an example here. $150, for 12 months if you're keeping them that long. That's $1,800 plus another $200 down payment she's doing. That's $2,000 in average student value. If she does 90 students enrolled into that program, that's $180,000 in income. You guys understand? Right? 90 students in 90 days in her program. That's what that is. Okay. All right. Other questions? No? All right. Here's the magic offer. If we are opening up spots. Oh, Hannah, please go ahead. You got a question. You can raise your hand if you want or unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Okay. I thought I was gonna have to type the whole thing out.
Yeah, no, we got you.
So we filled up most of our interim classes between January and the beginning of February. So we had like 2 fundamentals sections and then a whole bunch of Saturday classes. And they're all like,
You have the best problems, by the way, right?
no,
Let everybody to listen to Hannah.
no, but you know what's funny though is we're still doing horribly at enrollment conferences. Like you look at the
You
numbers
gotta fix that piece then. Yeah.
and it's we're doing awfully, but things are filling up. And so then I'm like, well, what happens when we get good at it? Anyway,
I know. Yeah, this is a great problems, man. Every time I talk to you, it cracks me up. Keep going.
so we have the schedule and like those classes are filled, but we have like the wacky schedule that we just fixed. And most of our upper students are doing like the Brandon Ballet Intensive, the nonprofit thing.
Yeah,
And so
you coming to Vegas?
oh yeah. Yeah.
Here's what we're working on, man.
Okay.
What we need to work on with you, and we'll mastermind this a little bit with the group. We got to talk more about this nonprofit that you guys are affiliated with.
Oh, they're thinking about shutting down.
There you go. Now, rather than that, see, and this is the thing. You guys are doing well enough now that there's just a massive amount of opportunity for you in that. Like potentially taking over that or potentially coming up with some kind of replacement and helping them to move on to the next stage in their life, because this is just a constant thorn in your side. Every time I talk to you, there's some reason that these guys aren't contributing as much as they probably should be.
Yeah.
The deal that you guys had with them at the beginning. So I hate to just put your question off, but there's probably some opportunity there. And that's what happens when you guys start doing numbers like you guys are doing right now. I mean, you're not even hitting all the numbers that you need to hit yet, right? With these systems.
Yeah.
And you still are already like killing it. And now if we can put a mass upgrade event in place for like the week before your recital, we will retain, I promise you, we will retain 80% of your advanced students through the summer, the first year you do it, if you do it the right way.
Even with them having to do the other intensive thing.
Well, this is the conversation we need to have because
Okay.
you're
Can we have it in Vegas?
like you literally, and that's the whole point of Vegas is
Okay,
your
perfect.
problem is that's why I don't bring 200 people, right? I bring like is because we're going to work on that stuff. But I think, yeah, like these guys are just, how do I say this kindly? They're vultures.
Yes.
They're trying to, I don't know if that was kind, but they are trying to economize and survive on your success.
Yeah.
And so there's probably some kind of an offer that we can go to them with and say, hey, why don't you let us do this, this, and this, and then kind of give them what they want and let them sort of fritter away. And you guys maintain control of other things. You and your husband maintain control of other things.
Yeah.
I bet you we can figure that out.
Okay.
And I just think that's where you ought to be. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to next weekend because I want to figure this out.
Me too. And I think what I want you to meditate on until we're talking about these things is I want you to meditate specifically on like what does this look like? What does this takeover of this nonprofit look like? Or how do we prevent them from kind of being these vultures that are just sort of preying on your success? Because that's just like we could all be doing better if that wasn't the case. Everybody.
Right. Yeah.
It's a consistent thing with you guys.
Okay.
I don't think we need more proof that that's the right direction. Fair?
Yeah.
I want you to meditate.
Figure out how to make the studio even more profitable because.
Well, I always agree with that, right? As the CEO of your business, that's one of your three main jobs is finding your average student value. What's the down payment?
$249.
Okay. What's the monthly on the fundamentals?
For fundamentals, $159.
Yeah. There's no question we can. Yeah, dude, you're sitting on an opportunity here, man. Massive.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing too, I think I saw you in the chat earlier saying that you kind of your adult program hadn't taken off yet. I think it's just because you got other things going on, man. You got a boatload of stuff. What do you guys have, like 14 kids now or something?
3.
You guys got a lot of stuff going on, and I just think there's like if we can just focus on the low hanging fruit here, that may be the low for you guys this time of year, and then we'll bunch of those guys through the summer.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
See you next week.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's really fun. Mary's asking here, the same schedule you have in the summer is the same schedule you use for the classes throughout the year. As best as I can, Mary, if I can keep that intent aligned, they're like, I come to class at this time and this time, and that doesn't change. If I can keep that as best as I can, I try and do that. It is practically not always 100% possible, but I try to do that as best as I can. All right. Good questions, guys. You guys, man, those that have implemented this, you're killing it, man. Good job. Let's keep it focused. This time of year, marketing, what we're mostly focusing on. If you need mass intros, those of you that know how to do that know why you need them, then we do them. But mostly it's the evergreen front end offer. And then we're pushing people into interim classes unless you have something that they can enroll in, right? And then just push them into the regular schedule. Now, I'm going to, we've got our base camp program. Base camp program is kind of like an operating system for dance studios. We teach all of these things that we've been talking about here. And it's not just a matter of having you enroll and then go through some videos. My team and I are literally helping you with all this, okay? And holding your hand as you go through and implement a bunch of these things. AutomatedDanceStudio.com. If you guys don't mind going and just making sure that redirects to a little form. I was having trouble with it earlier today. AutomatedDanceStudio.com. If you're not in our Basecamp program and this may be a good fit, we should book a call and talk about that and see if it is a good fit for where you're at to kind of get to the next level. And we need to know a little bit about your studio if we haven't conversed already. Some of us already know each other. Many of you I don't know. And so go over there and let me know a little bit about your studio. And then you'll be redirected when you fill out that form to a page that has a calendar. You can book a call and we'll kind of show you how the Basecamp program works and how much of a difference it might make in your studio. But that call really has three main goals. Okay. If you haven't kind of done this yet, we're going to answer three questions on that call. We're going to try to figure out. Number one is, what should I be charging for my tuition rates? Okay. Because we established earlier, what a lot of people do is just looked at what everybody else did. They didn't really know much about their actual market and they just assumed everybody else knew what they were doing, but everybody does that. So we want to make sure that your tuition structure is dialed in correctly. If it is not, that is a dangerous place to be, because you end up filling your studio with people who would be willing to pay more. And then you don't have the money to scale when you need more space and more staff and want to come home some evenings and talk to your family, right? Like you just can't do that. And so we need to put you in that position. So that's number one, is what should the pricing structure be? Number two, how many students should I have enrolled in this program? We can walk you through that so we can kind of figure out some of those financial goals. And then number three is, what's the fastest way to get there? What's the low hanging fruit that I can implement? Look, this is a busy time of year. I get that there's a lot of kind of other things going on. But that busyness that's happening at this time of year is not so much that we can't get a bunch of this stuff implemented. And this is a great time of year to be doing it, because if we can put it in place right now, we're going to make a massive impact over the summertime. Okay. Going to make a massive impact. And it gives us some opportunity to kind of get a head start on what's going to be happening over the summertime. Right. So that's what we're going over on that call. That call does not cost anything. Okay. It's not, you don't have to pay anything for that call. And the reason that we're doing that is because some of the folks that come on that call are going to decide that they want our help implementing the things that we'll show them. And we'd love to work with you if that's the case, if it's going to make the difference. And if not, then you can implement them on your own, or you can decide what it is that works best for you. We've got a few things figured out. As you can see, some of the folks on this call already that have kind of figured some of those things out are doing massive numbers at this time of year. And the key here is that they don't live in magic cities, man. They're not so much different. They're not so much different than everywhere. And thanks, Hannah, for the shout out there. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Happy to help out, Amanda. Amanda, if you will, Amanda, are we friends on Facebook? Will you find me on Facebook and I can send you a link to my own calendar? I have a little bit limited schedule. I think if you just go here, Amanda, that may redirect you, or I can have Sherry follow up with you as well. Either one, whichever one works best for you. Yeah, but we should chat about that. Happy to help any way that we can get this stuff implemented. We got a bunch of new stuff coming out too. Don't want to overwhelm everybody, but new software, new training. And once you're in the program, you kind of get a bunch of other things. So cool. Okay. Any other questions today before we call it a day? Nope. Oh, yeah. Kritika, are you in the Studio Business Accelerator group? We're full for Vegas on this one, but we'll get you in the next one. Here's what Kritika, follow that. So follow this link and fill out that form, and we'll hop on the phone with you and tell you what you should do. Yeah, we'll get you there. Yep, that's what I would recommend. And Sherry and I can chat with you and figure out what's next for you. Okay. All right, guys, good stuff. Let's go implement. Massive implementation is the key. Just knowing what to do does not help if we don't go knock it out of the park. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.